We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Chesam and Aleph and Meseches Avodah Zara. This is Avodah Zarah Daf 58a. On the previous summit, the Gemara had a story in Mechuzah where a certain Oved Kochavim entered into a store. He said to the Jewish owner, "Do you have any wine to sell?" And the owner said that, "I don't have any wine." And then the non-Jew, he placed his hand into a bucket of wine. He moved his hand around in the wine, and he said, "Is this not wine?" And so the owner of the store, the Jewish owner, he got upset because now that wine was no good, and he poured that wine in his anger into a barrel of wine. And the question is now, is that barrel of wine, is it permitted to get hana from that barrel of wine or not? And Rava permitted it. He said you can sell that barrel of wine. And Rav Huna Breder of Nachman said it was forbidden. And the Gemara now continues the story. Ikler Rav Huna Breder of Nachman leMechuzah. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Nachman, he went to Mechuzah. Amar le Rava le Rav Yaakam Shamoy. Rava said to Rav Yaakam, who was his attendant, Torok Agali, close the gates. To lo nesu inish the nitra. That way people will not come to disturb us in this matter. Nevertheless, the Gemara says that he did enter, he did come to him, meaning Rav Huna Breder of Nachman came before Rava. Amar Leini said to him, Ki hai gavna mai, in such a situation, what is the halacha? Like a situation like this, where the Oved Kochavim puts his hand in the wine. Amar Leini, he said, Aser afilu b'hana. He said it's actually forbidden, and it's forbidden even to get benefit. The Gemara continues, so he asked Rava, V'hamar hu da'amar, shich ein osa yayin nesach, but isn't the master the one who said, in the case we just had, that when he moves his hand and stirs the wine with his hand, it doesn't make it yayin nesach. So you said before it was permitted, now you're saying it's forbidden. And the Gemara continues that Rava responded to Rav Huna Breder of Nachman, Eimor da'amri ano levar midmei dahu chamra. Say that what I said was that you can sell it, not counting the value of that particular wine that was in the bucket. But did I say that you can get benefit from that wine that was in the bucket, the value of that wine? That I did not say. And Rashi explains, Ikler Rav Huna Breder of Nachman leMechuzah. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Nachman, went to Mechuzah. La'achar zman. This was after some time from the incident that happened. Achar shechazar bo. This is after Rava actually changed his mind. Shechziru Abaye al yedei teshuvos sheheshiv lo k'damin lekamon. We're going to say further on that Abaye asked some questions against Rava, and that changed Rava's mind. In other words, on the previous Amud, Rava permitted it, but then Abaye challenged Rava, and Rava changed his mind and said that it's actually forbidden. Akfon nachmeni shmaitu masnisa. We're going to say in a moment that Nachmeni, that's Abaye, he asked questions from Shmaita, from teachings from Amoraim, Umasnisa, and from Braisa, Umechuzah humekomo shel Rava. And Mechuzah happened to be the place where Rava was. And Rashi continues, Tro Gali, close the doors, Skor Hadelas, he said, close the doors, Shemesiyari me Rav Huna, he was afraid of Rav Huna, Shalo yekapchenu b'halachas al devrei machlukasam, that Rav Huna was going to argue about what they were arguing about. All Rav Huna legabe, and so Rav Huna went to him, he went to Rava, Uvoy minei, ki agavna, he asked him exactly the case that we had in the previous Amud, Shech shech over kochavim b'yenu shal Yisrael, Shalo b'kavonas nisuch, la'avodas kochavim mai. If the over kochavim puts his hand in, and he moves around the water, and he moves around rather the wine of a Jew, but it's not with the intention of nisuch la'avodas kochavim, it's not with the intention of a libation for Avoda Zara. What's the halacha? Amar le aser af b'hana. So this time Rava responded, it's forbidden, even b'hana, you can't get any benefit. Shechazar bo, because again Rava changed his mind, he retracted. And so he asked, V'hamar hu da'amar dekasharis l'zavunei lovdei kochavim. You permitted to sell the wine to ovdei kochavim. And Rava responded, Meidahu chamra dahava bedavla, meaning the value. Again, the situation was where the wine was poured from the bucket into the barrel, and the only wine that was problematic was the wine that was in the bucket. So that wine in the bucket, mi'amrinan modina bay, did sarich l'holech damav l'yamamelch. Did we say over there that it's permitted to get benefit from that wine? We admit that in that situation you have to take that value to the Yam HaMelech, meaning you're not allowed to benefit when you sell that barrel of wine. You can't keep all of the money that corresponds to the value of the wine in the bucket, that the owner, the seller, is not allowed to keep. But the value of the rest of the wine in the barrel would be mutter. And Rashi notes, Mishum ki sufa kamar hachi. Rava really just said that because he was embarrassed. Avaliu kule shari. In truth, when he said it was permitted, he had permitted the entire thing. Really, Rava changed his mind, but he was embarrassed to say that, so instead what he said was, when I permitted it, I only permitted the value of everything besides the value of the wine that was in the bucket. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Ki asoy lepumbedisa, when I came to Pumbedisa, Akfon Nachmeni Shmaitzo Masnisa. Again, this was mentioned by Rashi above. Nachmeni, who's Abaya, he asked me questions on my lenient ruling from the teachings of Amoraim and from a Brisa. The Yasser, and he tried to show that in fact it is prohibited. Shmaitzo, what was the teaching? Da'uvda dehava ben Nahardoi. There was a case just like this in Nahardoi. The Asar Shmuel, and Shmuel said it was forbidden. But Tveria, there was a case just like this in Tveria. The Asar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan said it was forbidden. V'amri lei, and I said to him, Lafi she'enan b'nei Torah. Maybe the reason why it was forbidden over there is because the people in that area are not b'nei Torah, so therefore they wanted to be extra strict, so people shouldn't learn leniencies that were not correct. V'amar li, but then he said to me, Tveria unhardoi, enan b'nei Torah, and Tveria and Nahardoi, they're not b'nei Torah, to Mechuza b'nei Torah, and in Mechuza they are b'nei Torah. Are you really making a distinction between these various areas? That was the first question of Abaya. And Masnisa, the question from the Brisa was as follows. The Agardimim Ovid Kochavim, there was an inspector who was an idolater, Shekadach b'mei nekes v'hela, who drilled a hole in a barrel of wine and inserted a tube and took out some wine. Oshatoa min hakos, or used a cup and he tasted from that. V'echziru l'chaves, and then returned it to the barrel. Zehoya Maisa, this was an incident. V'yasru, and they said it was forbidden. And my lav, is it not? B'hano, it means that it was forbidden even to get benefit, and therefore you see from this Brisa also against Rava. And the Gemara says, lo, no, not necessarily. B'shasiya, maybe it just means it was forbidden to drink. Maybe it was permitted b'hana. But the Gemara says it can't be, because hihachi, if so, if it was just forbidden to drink, so lisni yimacher. So then what the Brisa should have said was it should be sold. When something is permitted to get benefit, but you can't drink it, the way the Brisa would say that is to say that you could sell the wine. Kidikatani seif, and we find that at the end of the Brisa. The Brisa goes on to say, choram ovet kochavim, if you have a confiscator who's an idolater, shahoshid yadu l'chavis, he sticks his hand into a barrel, Uchesavar shel shemen, he thought it was oil. V'nimtza shel yayin, it turns out it was wine. Zehoya Maisa, there was an incident like that. V'yamru yimacher, and they said it should be sold. And the point over here is you see from this seifa of the Brisa, from the end of the Brisa, that when something is permitted to get benefit but you can't drink, the proper language to use is yimacher. And so therefore that would indicate that in the beginning of the Brisa, when it says v'yasru, they said it was forbidden, it means it's forbidden even b'hana. And again, that also is a question on Rava. And the Gemara says, Tiyufta de Rava, is this a refutation of Rava? The Gemara says Tiyufta, in fact, it is a refutation of Rava. And Rashi explains, Ki asoy lepumbedisa, when I came to Pumbedisa, hai maisa have a mekamehach to ikla Rav Huna lemechuza. This took place before Rav Huna came to Mechuza. Again, Rava retracted his opinion before Rav Huna came to Mechuza. Akfon nachmeni hakifeni Abaya b'shmua shel Amoraim. Abaya, he asked me questions from teachings of Amoraim, over Mishnayis and from Mishnayis, from Brises, lachlok olai, to argue against me, v'lesor kol yayin hachavis, and to say that all of the wine in the barrel is forbidden. So I said, because they're not b'nei Torah. Maybe Hada Asar Shmuel of Rabbi Yochanan, when Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan said Asar, Lefnei Teveria v'Nahardoi, to the people of Teveria and Nahardoi, La'amisham do Asar. It's not that it was really Asar. El Achmuri Achmiru Alai, he was just, they were just being strict with them. Lefi she'enan b'nei Torah, because they're not b'nei Torah, you have to be extra strict. V'yamar li Abaya Teveria and v'Nahardoi bitmi, and Abaya responded, that's true of Teveria and Nahardoi, it's not true of Mechuza. And then there was the Brisa, Agardamim, that's Adam Hamamuna Lishmar Hamidos, essentially an inspector. He's checking the measurements. B'mitzvahs HaMelech, he works for the government, Shelo Yishakru B'hem, that there shouldn't be any lying in terms of the amounts. B'toim Hayayin V'nases Sirsur B'name, he tastes the wine, he becomes like a go-between. Shekadach B'mei Nekes, he inserts a tube. Shenakav Es Megufas HaChaves B'mei Nekes, he, in the cover, in the lid of the barrel, he puts in a tube. V'helas Hayayin Derech HaMei Nekes, he brings the wine out that way. V'ukanachol HaMotzi U'mala Hayayin Ad Pivatoamo, again, it's like a straw, it's like a tube that he brings the wine to his mouth and he tastes it. Oshatam Min Akos V'echziro Over Kol Chavim B'Chaves, he tastes it with a cup and then returns it to the barrel. My lav b'hana, so doesn't it mean it's asur b'hana? V'yafagav the shalo b'kavonas nisuch havahaymaga, even though he didn't touch it thinking that it was a libation for Avodah Zara, still it's asur b'hana. V'lo yitachin lomar v'echziro Yisrael b'chavis, and you shouldn't say that it means that the Jew's the one that returned it to the barrel. And then maybe the refutation would be the other way around. The fact that the entire barrel is asur, because of this amount that was mixed there. Because if that was the case, that's not really a refutation. Why would that be a refutation? Then he could just say to him, I hold like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, who says later on, you sell it all except for the value of of the yayin nesach that's within it. To kaimel and hilchas hakavase, because in that regard we hold the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. But listen to yimacher, and then the Gemara said, well, if the case was that it was not aser b'hana, it should have said yimacher to sell it. Ki hechi de katani sefer. That's what it says at the end. Choram is meshuga uval merivos. Rashi understands a choram is somebody who's crazy, who fights all the time. Umemahar lasos shelo b'kavana. He does things without intention. And again, another translation of the choram refers to the fact that it's somebody who's a confiscator. Yimacher should be sold. The whole of the savar shel shemen hoya, since he thought it was oil, lekol migzar shemen eskavin lenasech. There we don't make a gezerah that maybe he'll have intention to pour it to Avoda Zara. Aval kadach b'meinekas, but if he's inserting the tube, we have to be more strict. The odeya diyayin, where he knows it's wine, chashinan shemen nisach la'avodas kochavim. There's more concern. Maybe he poured it as a libation to Avoda Zara. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yochanan ben Arza, Rabbi Yossi ben Nahoroi, Rabbi Yochanan ben Arza and Rabbi Yossi ben Nahoroi, have a yasu v'kashasu chamra, they were sitting and drinking wine. Also, Gav, a certain person came, Amrulei, they said to him, Ta ashkinon, come and pour for us the wine, give us the wine to drink. Levasar durama lakasa, after he filled the cup, Igloi milsa dovid kochavim, it turned out that this person wasn't over kochavim, he was an idolater, and so now there was a question whether they could get any benefit from the wine. So chad osar afilu bahana, one of them said it's prohibited even to get any benefit. V'chad shari afilu b'shasi, and the other one said it's permitted, and it's even permitted to drink the wine. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, Man do asar, the one who says it's forbidden, shaper asar, he's correct to say it's forbidden. Uman do shari, and the one who says it's permitted, shaper shari, he's correct to say it's permitted. And the Gemara explains, Man do asar, the one who said it was forbidden, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video, and Daf Nun Ches Amud Beis.